Love-based marriages are said to be resilient. Can they, however, withstand Rasheeda Frost with a microphone and a grudge? Due to the fact that Atlanta season 13 arrived with a bang, as if it had unresolved issues and a grudge to settle. The trailer exploded, not just dropped. And the most spectacular explosion. The fight was not a weave-pulling one, a cocktail wasn't flying across a lounge. The sentence was tranquil and had a leisurely burn. Rasheeda gently threw a grenade into her entire marriage while staring dead in Yandy's face. There was simply a single line that caused everyone to pause, blink, and move. No build-up, no warning. Was that what she just said? After 10 years of being the epitome of poise, Yandy found herself in a defensive position. The female prisoner who kept it in check. The courtroom mayhem, bidding, and reality TV rivalry were unexpected. She once referred to the internet and her family as her family, not a cast rival or a hater. The internet was unable to keep up. Baby, fans didn't merely respond, they spiraled. High-level gossip analysis, freeze frames, and frame-by-frame dissection were all over TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. What Rasheeda said was not the only question. Yes, it was. She said it now. But why? You can be sure it's not a coincidence when someone like Rasheeda, the franchise's so-called silent storm, eventually speaks up. And it wasn't a drunken mishap, a mumbled tea, or a messy altercation in the lounge. This was meticulously prepared, rehearsed, and presented flawlessly. Rasheeda sliced right through Yandy's brand while sitting in that confessional like a surgeon with a scalpel. The words were hardly audible in the trailer, but they weren't necessary. The harm was done prior to the sentence's completion. It was all in Yandy's face. She didn't cry, she didn't yell. We're doing this now because she blinked once, squeezed her lips together, and struck Rasheeda with a lethal blow. Fans realized it was personal at that point. Sweetie, the silence, the void between the sentences, was what made it hit more forcefully. That instant when the room is empty moved, nobody breathed, and the temperature seemed to decrease by 10 degrees. Unless someone crossed a line, they can't get back. That kind of stillness doesn't occur on Love and Hip Hop. Rasheeda was the one with the pen this time, sketching ink. Online users had a great time, not Rasheeda turning this way on her own. The theories came quickly, and several followers vowed they always knew Rasheeda had Yandy's back. One tweet said, "This ain't even shade, it's sabotage." Some claimed that low-key jealousy was constant, that animosity was simmering beneath the sisterhood slogans and matching brunch attire, and that Rasheeda was simply fed up with being the support system while everyone else received the limelight. In any case, the trust was destroyed, smoldering, and blown to shreds. And now, let's be clear, Rasheeda didn't mention names, but she didn't need to. Her delivery carried more weight than the words and the message, and it was loud, HD with studio lighting. Yandy and Mendez have always been the unstoppable ones, the couple that weathered the storm, the blueprint, and with just one line. Rasheeda made us all wonder if even those who hadn't watched the show in years were suddenly tuning in like they never left. The problem with women like Yandy is that they don't come apart. Instead, they fall back. Yandy, to her credit, remained icy cool, but you could tell it impacted her not because she said anything, but because of what she didn't say. Confessionals began to change tone. Spice, never one to keep quiet, came in swinging. And some people who had been sitting on the sidelines realized that this wasn't just a crack but a collapse the moment she withdrew from the group, stopped making eye contact, and stopped taking part in the girl power moments. That wasn't commentary. It was a warning shot. Jessica White, who is usually a little more tactful, seemed to like to be somewhere else. They were spending their savings account secrets like loose change. The stillness surrounding it was what really made the betrayal sting. No one checked Rasheeda, and no one said, "That's too far." Everything, she murmured, her eyes downcast. "But I knew that didn't feel like love, and you could tell it shook her." "Sis, not like this." No one said, dragging her aside. Fans weren't having it, so they just let it land and watched it land. That's what shattered Yandy, who stood by herself as others she believed to be her clan remained silent. Every little gesture they captured, Spice's smirk, Jessica's look, Kirk's inaction became evidence, and the trailer was being dissected like a criminal case. Who invited the camera to that dinner? It was providing courtroom drama with wigs. Why did Kirk glance down before Rasheeda spoke? If there was tension, why was Yandy seated next to her? The true joke, however, Rasheeda made it seem as though something had happened, something real, and whether it did or didn't even matter. The suggestion was enough to make the implications clear. Mandussi's baby's name was floated around, like a gossip football, and he hardly spoke in the trailer. Yandy, who has never had to shout to be heard, gave us the most terrifying answer of all when the internet caught fire. She became silent. There were no comments, no lives, no cryptic statements, just nothing. If you know anything about how power operates in the actual world, you know that silence isn't in the meantime. Rasheeda was doubling down. In the meantime, Quiet indicates that PR teams are calculating, that attorneys may be monitoring, and that whatever she's preparing isn't for the cameras, but rather for legacy. In her subsequent confessional, she stated, "I didn't say nothing that wasn't already known. Just because people don't talk about it doesn't mean it ain't true." The statement went viral, and fans were divided. The point is, when you know your friend has fought for her family, like truly fought, don't just throw it in casual conversation. Some people labeled her brave, while others claimed she was bitter. Both sides were fighting as if their data plans relied on it in the ring unless you've got an agenda. Yandy didn't build her image overnight. She built it while her man was in prison, while raising kids, while fending off rumors, while crying on couches, and still getting back up. So for Rasheeda to come for all of that, oh baby, this wasn't shade. This was a hit. The next scene's hit. Harder Mandis's and Yandy pulled aside during a rooftop party, her eyes glassy, his face tense. "We don't owe nobody nothing," he said. "I didn't need you to defend me," Yandy replied. It wasn't loud or dirty, but it was real, and fans quickly clipped, reposted, and tagged it. That's what true devastation looks like. "I needed you to understand me." Looks like quiet pain greater than performative yelling. If this is acting, give them both Emmys. Meanwhile, Rasheeda wasn't letting up. At a group confessional, she crossed her arms and said flatly, "I said what I said, but something was different." Her voice didn't sound so sure this time. It had that edge people get when they're starting to question themselves. And the cast, they picked up on it, too. Renee Rochefevre, afraid to stir the pot, tilted her head and asked, "You sure you ain't just projecting?" Rasheeda blinked, looked to the side, and instead of clapping back, just asked the producers, "We done here?" But baby, they were not done. Spice came in hot at a charity dinner. "You out here tearing up homes with your mouth, but won't fix your own." And Rasheeda, she clapped back with, "At least I ain't hiding behind a mic." It took security 2 seconds to step in. And that's just the beginning. By the time the dust settled from that charity dinner blow-up, the fans weren't just watching the show, they were analyzing it like a political scandal. Voices were raised, hands were moved, and once again, the atmosphere was destroyed. Plates remained untouched, drinks spilled, and another scene ruined. You'd think Watergate happened on VH1, the way social media was turning every second of screen time into a federal case. Reddit threads had timelines, and TikTokers were creating literal court-style exhibits of who looked at who, when, and with what expression. One user even dropped a full 20-minute video titled "The Fall of Rasheeda and the Rise of Silent Shade, Yandy's Revenge," and it wasn't just viewers picking sides anymore. The cast, they were moving like the floor was lava. Some avoided group scenes entirely. Others picked sides so publicly it didn't even feel like a reality show. It felt like a high school with HD cameras and a hairstylist budget. The damage from Rasheeda's comment wasn't just about gossip. It was about impact, and that impact was deep. Yandy and Mendez had just launched a mentorship program for young couples, something that should have been a highlighter healing project. But instead, the backlash was immediate and brutal. Every Instagram post they made got hit with "Y'all mentoring now. But what about your own marriage and fix your house before building others?" They didn't clap back. Not at first. Yandy stayed quiet. Mende's even quieter. But silence doesn't protect you in the age of the algorithm. It just makes people louder. Then came the solo confessional. Yandy sat in a cream-colored dress, lighting soft, her voice low but clear. She didn't blink much, just stared into the camera and said, "I've walked through fire with that man. Not for applause, not for likes, but because I love him. And if someone thinks they can rewrite our story because they're bitter or bored, they've got another thing coming." It wasn't defensive. It wasn't dramatic. It was truth. It cut through the noise like a blade. That clip went viral. Thousands of comments, fan pages posted it with captions like "Queen Energy. This is why she stays booked. Rasheeda can't compete where she doesn't compare." But still, the damage wasn't undone. At the next event, a sit-down healing dinner, the producers had obviously pushed for, Yandy showed up late and took the seat farthest from Rasheeda. The kind of "don't even breathe in my direction" move that said everything without saying anything. The table was full, the room well lit, but the energy ice cold. Rasheeda stared at her plate. Yandy stared at the floor. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. It felt like a funeral for a friendship. And then, like always, Mama D stood up. She never let silence win. She looked around and said, "This ain't no healing circle. This awake. Something died in here. Trust, loyalty, and that fake sisterhood y'all used to post about dramatic." Yes, untrue. Not at all. Because Rasheeda and Yandy weren't just castmates, they were real friends, or at least they used to be. Years of business collabs, birthday posts, vacation selfies, all of it now felt like staged content for followers who didn't know the truth. And when Rasheeda dropped that bomb in the trailer, she didn't just break the fourth wall. She broke the whole damn foundation behind the scenes. It was worse. Crew members whispered that filming schedules were being rewritten. Some cast wouldn't share scenes. Some refused to show up if others were on set. A voice caught in a leaked production clip said Yandy's not coming if Rasheeda. In the room, another replied, "Can you blame her?" And that was the consensus, because what Rasheeda did, that wasn't just petty. It wasn't even reality TV petty. It was real-life friendship ending, career complicating, shady. Kirk, meanwhile, sat like a deer in the headlights caught between his wife and the wreckage she caused. In one scene, he and Rasheeda are sitting on the couch. Cameras rolling. He's sipping a drink and finally mutters, "I just think some stuff don't need to be said on camera." Rasheeda's eyes flash. She doesn't say a word, just stares him down like, "How dare you side with silence?" And that silence said everything. Kirk didn't co-sign it, but he didn't stop it either. And now he was watching the ripple effects destroy years of peace. Not just between Yandy and Rasheeda, but between everyone. Yandy didn't return texts. Mandizas barely responded to producers and the fans. They weren't giving Rasheeda a break. Comments on her boutique's page turned ugly. "You selling jeans in Betrayal." Now, one person wrote, "You want us to shop your brand, but you can't respect somebody else's household." Another said, "She tried to stay cute, tried to keep posting beauty shots and makeup reels, but the likes dropped." The brand collabs slowed, and the energy shifted hard. And just when people thought the fire might die down, Jasmine returned. Yes, that Jasmine, the one for Rasheeda and Kirk's own cheating scandal years ago, the one they buried deep. She popped up in a teaser trailer, not saying much, just smirking in a VIP lounge, and the fans went feral. "Oh, now it makes sense." A tweet read, "Rasheeda dropped Yandy's tea before Jasmine could pour hers." People started putting it together. Rasheeda knew Jasmine was coming back. She knew her own scandal might resurface. So what did she do? Get ahead of it, create a bigger headline, deflect, distract, burn someone else's house so people wouldn't see the smoke coming from hers. And honestly, if that was the plan, it backfired because instead of looking strong, Rasheeda looked strategic and not in a good way. Fans called her out. "You forgave a man who gave you a whole child behind your back, but you torched your best friend over a rumor. Make it make sense." The memes were merciless. Meanwhile, Yandy wasn't playing the victim. She was playing the long game. Quiet, calculated, presenting herself at events, speaking at panels, giving just enough to remind people who she is without stooping. And that's what scared the cast most. Because when someone doesn't react, you don't know what they're planning. And in reality TV, unpredictability is power. Spice, who had largely stayed out of the mess, finally snapped at brunch. "Everybody want to be right. Nobody want to be real," she said, looking straight at Rasheeda. The table went quiet. Nobody had a comeback, not even Rasheeda. But the peace didn't last. A whisper floated across the table. Being real got Yandy dragged. And just like that, the tension was back. People were tired. Tired of tiptoeing, tired of silence, tired of watching a once solid friendship turn into social media warfare. The cast started choosing sides. Scrappy hugged Yandy at a fundraiser. Fans called it a subtle alliance. If Scrappy hugs you, you know you're on the right side of history. Someone joked online. Even Mama D posted a cryptic message. Loyalty means nothing if it only shows up when convenient. And fans, they knew exactly who that was about. The energy of the show changed. No longer about music, no longer about glows or beef with exes. This season was about betrayal, emotional chess, reputation, warfare. Even production couldn't keep up. In a leaked voice note from a team meeting, someone's heard saying, "This ain't the storyline we planned for." That's how raw it got. That's how real it got. As filming wrapped, a final cast screening was scheduled. Red carpet press, lights, drama. Yandy showed up solo in white, graceful, poised, unbothered. Rasheeda arrived late, flanked by backup. But the vibe was tense. They never looked at each other, didn't wave, didn't pose, just walked past one another like strangers with history. The fans watching the live stream saw it all, posted side-by-slides. "This ain't tension." One said, "This is divorce energy." And maybe that's the saddest part. Not the fight, not the drama, but the fact that two women who once built something real, something sisterly, let a storyline become a funeral. And as the last flashbulb popped and the curtain fell on season 13, one truth echoed louder than any confessional. Some betrayals don't need revenge. They burn themselves down. You'd think after the trailer drama, the dinner table clashes, and the social media implosion, things would start calming down. But baby, this is love. This is love. In hip-hop Atlanta, we don't wind down, we escalate. And by the time the reunion rolled around, the vibe wasn't reunion. It was courtroom meets battlefield. Because when you spend an entire season torching friendships, exposing marriages, and lighting the comment section on fire, eventually someone's got to sit on that couch and answer for it. Only problem: nobody wanted to sit next to each other. According to production insiders, the moment the reunion seating chart dropped, it triggered more meltdowns than a toddler at a toy store. Yandy reportedly refused to film in the same segment as Rasheeda unless she had creative control over how the narrative was handled. Rasheeda, she wasn't backing down either. "I said what I said. I ain't apologizing for being real," she allegedly told a producer. But being real doesn't get you applause when the whole internet thinks you fumbled the only real friend you had left. And then there's Mendes. Quiet, composed, and visibly over it. Sources say he told producers flat out, "Y'all, not going to use my marriage for shock value and think I won't respond," and baby respond he did, just not how you'd expect. Instead of yelling or throwing jabs, Mendes came prepared with paperwork. Fans who were lucky enough to attend the taping leaked that his team showed up with a literal folder of timelines, text receipts, and alleged legal statements. It wasn't a roast. It was a defense strategy, because when someone questions your marriage on national television, it's not just about your reputation. It's about your brand, your business, and your family. Yandy's entrance to the reunion. Silence. No extra glam. No entourage, just that signature. "I'm here to reclaim my time walk." And a tight-lipped expression that said, "I didn't come here to scream. I came here to end careers with class." When the cameras finally rolled, it wasn't explosive right away. It was quiet, tense, uncomfortable. Producers tried to warm things up with lighter topics, but everyone could feel the earthquake brewing underneath the set. Then finally, it happened. The host turned to Rasheeda and asked, "Do you feel you owe Yandy an apology?" A pause. A long one. Rasheeda adjusted her mic, looked out at the crowd, then said flatly, "No, because I didn't lie." That was it. No emotion, no softness, just the same cold delivery that started this entire war. And in that moment, you could see the audience shift. Gasps. Eye rolls. Yandy looked down and smirked. But that wasn't a smile of her. That was a smile of you. Just buried yourself. What followed was chaos. Yandy didn't yell. She didn't curse. She just pulled out her own recited Ms. Timestamps private convos that painted a very different picture. And while she didn't expose everything, she exposed enough. Fans who watched the reunion live said it felt less like a cast meeting and more like a deposition. And while the cast tried to play neutral, the room wasn't. Spice clutched her clutch. Jessica white-mouthed, "Wow," multiple times. Even Mama D, queen of the theatrics, just sat there shaking her head like a disappointed auntie at Sunday dinner. The internet exploded again. Yandy didn't have to raise her voice. Her facts did all the yelling. One tweet read, "This wasn't a reunion. This was a funeral for fake friendships," said another. Even the host looked uncomfortable. Then came the final segment, the one where castmates are supposed to reflect, hug, apologize, and pretend like they're moving forward. Not this time. Yandy didn't speak. Rasheeda stood up, brushed off her dress, and left the stage early. No hugs, no tears, just distance. And what's wild, that wasn't the most shocking part of the night, because just as the credits started to roll, guess who walked on stage? Mendes alone. No music, no announcement, just him walking into the shot, taking a seat, and looking directly into the camera. "I stayed quiet this season," he said, "because I wanted to give people the benefit of the doubt. But now, I see silence don't get you peace. It gets you blamed." And then he dropped a bombshell. Without naming names, he suggested that someone in production encouraged Rasheeda to bring up his and Yandy's marriage. "Y'all want chaos, cool," he said, "but don't expect us to let you rewrite history while we sit here smiling." That clip alone. Millions of views before the episode even ended. And the theories, they tripled. Fans were now convinced the entire storyline was orchestrated to distract from bigger scandals like Jasmine's return or rumors that a major cast shakeup is coming next season. Some believe Rasheeda was used, set up to deliver the damage so someone else could escape it. Others think she knew exactly what she was doing and didn't care. Either way, her reputation never recovered. In the weeks that followed the reunion, Rasheeda's brand suffered. The boutique still stood, but the comments were a war zone. Influencers pulled back. One major hair company even removed her promo pic from their page after fans flooded it with backlash. Meanwhile, Yandy, she didn't need to say a word. Every time she posted a family photo, it got more likes than Rasheeda's entire feed. Every time she shared an event or community update, people praised her grace. She wasn't just surviving. She was winning quietly, strategically, powerfully. And then came the twist nobody saw coming. VH1 released a cryptic teaser, a new spin-off, no title, no confirmed cast. Just a short clip of Yandy in black, standing in front of a mirror, her voice narrating. "Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones sent to destroy you. But this time, I'm telling the story my way." The streets lost it. Fans flooded the comments with predictions. Yandy spin-off. Behind the scenes of the fallout, Rasheeda not invited. Theories spiraled like wildfire, and for the first time in the franchise's history, fans were actively campaigning for someone to be cut from the main cast. Let Rasheeda rest. One post read, "We need healing, not hypocrisy." Kendra, who somehow managed to pop up in side interviews all season, had the audacity to jump into the conversation again. She posted a cryptic quote, "Sometimes silence is complicit. Ma'am, weren't you just playing background vocals to jock drama last year?" The internet dragged her so fast, she deleted the post within 30 minutes. Meanwhile, Spice was booked and busy. Mama D started her own YouTube series. Jessica White got a beauty endorsement deal. Everyone was moving forward except Rasheeda because, while her confessional went viral, it didn't go the way she thought. She wasn't praised for speaking truth. She was blamed for breaking something sacred. And once trust is broken on national TV, good luck getting it back. The final moments of the reunion of unofficial, unplanned, unedited, were leaked by someone on set. Yandy backstage hugging a producer, her voice low but picked up on mic. "They tried it, but I'm still standing and they going to see me shine." Without the mess, and that was the mic drop. Love and hip-hop. Atlanta Season 13 wasn't about music. It wasn't even about love. It was about the collapse of trust, the cost of silence, and what happens when real friendships become collateral damage for TV ratings. Yandy kept it classy. Rasheeda lost control. Mendez reminded everyone he's not just a storyline. And the fans, they never forgot who moved with integrity and when it hurt. So, what happens next? Will Yandy get her own show? Will Rasheeda take a break and repair her brand? Will producers finally stop turning sacred relationships into sacrifice scenes? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. In the world of love and hip-hop, the only thing more powerful than a storyline is a woman who refuses to let it break her.